Hello and welcome. My name is Christoph Putz and I'm your IT career guide. In today's video, I want to talk about making mistakes. I make mistakes. I made some really big mistakes along the way and I'm still here. I'm still working in information technology and I look back at the last 22 years and I had, I think, a great career. I'm happy with what I did. I'm happy and proud of what I did and how far I have gotten with my career. But yes, there were plenty of mistakes along the way, and that's what I want to talk about today. How important it is, A, to make mistakes, and then to own the mistakes that you make, learn from it, make sure you only do them once, and then you make new mistakes. Also look for mistakes of others and learn from them, and then really use it in your career to avoid making the same mistakes. Make new ones. So from the new stuff you learn, if you challenge yourself or anything, that's important. Don't make stupid mistakes by being lazy. You're not detailed oriented, you're not thorough enough with the work. Those are the ones you can avoid. Make mistakes that have a reason that you make the mistake so that you can learn from it and improve your skill set and then have a better career. So before we go into the little storytelling that I have for you today, if you don't mind subscribing to my channel, hitting the like button for this video, it will really help me with the YouTube algorithm, making this content available for more people. So I started in IT in early 1999. So fairly early on in my IT career. I was just like in my second year. I was working as a junior systems administrator / computer operator for a small company. It was a small office here, 15 people. We were doing software development. I was kind of a hybrid person between computer operator, systems administrator, systems architect, and a lot of other things. I had a busy plate and life was just busy. So I had just implemented a firewall for the network. Before I started, the company was just wide open on the internet. They were running a Windows NT domain on the internet, easily hackable and accessible from the outside. So that was one of my bigger tasks, to roll out firewalls and network switches and segment the network, move the IP addresses from a public IP address space to a private IP address space. We were doing web development at that time, and one of the developers asked me to open port 80 for the website that he was running from his workstation so that it could be tested from the outside. So I opened port 80 for his IP address. He did his testing. He told me that he was done a couple of days later, and I failed to close port 80. So the next mistake that I made, and that wasn't that visible at that time, I was applying service packs, software updates, security patches, all that good stuff. I was not doing it frequently. I was doing it like every other month, once a quarter. As I got around to it, I was busy with other things, and this was just back then a manual task. I did not have any automated tools available, so it was time consuming, and I always pushed it out just a little bit, thinking things will be all right. In the middle of 2001, the Code Red virus was released into the wild, and it attacked port 80 with a web server running Microsoft's Internet Information Service. And of course, that port 80 that I had talked about was open. And of course, that machine was not patched. So Code Red had easy game, got into the network, hit that machine, and then started spreading internally, hitting all the other machines that were not patched. Within like 30 minutes, the network was flooded with traffic and nobody could access any network resources. They were kind of okay on the local machines, but even those were running at high utilization, so it was just a big clusterfuck. The entire office couldn't work, and I started scrambling, trying to figure out what had happened. I had not seen any news, and I was not aware of Code Red. And having now a very limited access to the internet because of the slowness and everything running at a high capacity, it was difficult to troubleshoot, to find out what was going on. Once I had it identified, I realized, okay, you know what? I had forgotten to close port 80 for that one machine. That was my first task, to close port 80, isolate the network, and then I started downloading the patches from Microsoft and started patching one machine at a time. So I started with the machine that was infected for sure because port 80 was open. From there, I worked my way to the other machines. I looked at the firewall because Code Red was trying to go externally as well. So I was able to catch it in the log files, identify the source IP address, went to that machine and started patching that machine and cleaning everything up. So it took 6-7 hours and I was finally done. The network was back to normal. Everyone was able to work, but I had almost 15 people not being productive for an entire day. So that was not a good thing. We had a team meeting later this afternoon and I fessed up. I stepped up and said, I made a big mistake. So I fessed up. I had made a big mistake. I explained exactly how the virus had gotten in. And then I explained what did I do to isolate the problem and then starting cleaning up the situation. So, and it took a while and people were understanding, but of course nobody was happy. They had lost an entire day of production. So they were not happy. They lost an entire day of productivity. They have deliverables that they needed to meet and they were heavily impacted. So this was really on my shoulders and it was a big deal back then. And so yes, I stepped up and it's like, no, I made a big mistake. But also what I did was really then pointing out, okay, I learned something from this. And I talked to the team and for one, I apologized, of course. But then I also explained, okay, I realized I was not doing the best work that I could with the way how I was patching machines, or that I was not keeping track of firewall rules that were temporarily implemented, like that port 80 situation. So I explained how I was gonna go and make changes so that this would not happen again. So the team was okay with it. The next day things were forgotten and we moved forward, and I made this a habit to really look at how I was working. I made changes. I made strategic changes. I'm a person that tries to learn quickly, tries to figure out a better way, and that's what I did. So fast forward a little bit into January 2003. The SQL Slammer virus was released into the wild. And the SQL Slammer virus attacks machines running Microsoft SQL Server. All my developers were running SQL Server on their local machines. They were doing web development with a database on the backend. We had other offices within the company where similar work was done, different products, but SQL Server was all over the company. So January 2003 comes around, SQL Slammer is released, and I get an early phone call from my boss at around 4 o'clock in the morning. And he told me, it's like, there's a situation, the Boston and the New York offices are down. I need you to go to the office and find out if we are down as well. That's all I knew. I started to get ready to go to work, but I remoted first into my network and I couldn't find anything. Anything was fine. I could access each machine. There was no traffic on the network. It seemed fine. So I got dressed. I drove to the office. I did my work and identified really, it's like, yeah, nothing is happening. We are not affected by this. Then there was a big crisis meeting. I was invited to that meeting. And yeah, we had over 200 developers down in the other offices. It was a really big, messy situation. And well, my boss was proud to announce like, nope, Denver is okay. We don't have any issues. All our machines are perfectly patched. We have our firewall under control. We can see your incoming attacks, but no, we're okay. So we're moving forward with our development work. So, and later on that day, he came to me and said, well, great work. I see really what happened 1.5 years ago. You took this to heart and today you saved the day for us. So we were the ones that were just in a perfect place and the other ones were impacted. So job well done. So from this little story from the early days of my career, you can see mistakes happen. Mistakes happen along the way. There are other ones, and yeah, sometimes mistakes are small and minor. It's easy to fix. It's not a big deal. Sometimes they're more visible. They're more embarrassing, and that's really one of the challenging situations. Can you step in front of a team and apologize and explain what happened, why they were not able to work all day? So for me back then, it was just like I was scared when I stepped in front of my team and explained what had happened and took ownership of it. I was just really not sure how would they respond, how would my boss respond. And it was a teaching moment. And the way how my boss responded in a way very professional, it really reminded me, it's like, okay, mistakes can happen. It's how you respond to that mistakes that will make the difference. And then of course, from the mistakes, learn. Use it as a learning experience. Make changes. Don't just wipe the hands off and move on without having a good learning experience from it. That learning, like in my case, it saved me 1.5 years later, while other ones were having problems. So for me, that was really a good moment to look back and say, I'm glad it happened back then. I'm glad it happened and affected about 15 people. But from that learning moment on, really, I made things better and it did not happen to me again. So I hope you like this little storytelling from my past. There's definitely something in there that I hope you take to heart. And yeah, let me know know in the comments if you had these type of situations and how you responded and what have you learned and what is your career looking like because of those learnings. So I would love to hear from you in the comments. So I hope you liked this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you have not subscribed to my channel, please do so as well. I really appreciate it. And then I hope to see you in my next video. Thank you for watching and have a great day. Bye-bye.